Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/thebarn. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/thebarn.
Hello, my name is Jason Lowry.
And I'm Mark Tody.
And this is the Parkland Podcast.
Very excited to be a part of this, Jason. Thank you for asking.
Hey, no problem. We're going to get into exactly how this all came about, how you got asked. I think something happened with another job or something, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. We're also going to talk to Kevin Engler. He's the St. Francis County Clerk. Big election year happening locally. We're going to wrap on Farmington Country Days and talk about all the fun stuff that you enjoyed when you listened to us on the radio. So welcome to the Parkland Podcast. And the Parkland Podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp.com is a place you can go online to improve your mental health. I know we live in an area where there's not a lot of therapists around. The lists are gigantic. This is one that's done online, and you can do it at your own pace and really use it to your advantage in the technology that's out there.
By the way, this is the first time I've ever been in the barn.
Yeah?
And this is one of the coolest buildings I have ever been. I could get lost in here and come get me in about 3 days because I'll still be looking at all the memorabilia that's in here.
So the barn is a media group, and basically this is Chad Winch's woodshed. And when he moved here a few years ago, he's not a woodworking guy. He's a media guy, and he's been into podcasting for a long, long time. And so he converted the shed into the barn. And here we are today. And we got all the cool music and sports memorabilia stuff around here and some really neat things.
So if I remember correctly, we're one of several podcasts that originate from here?
Yes. I guess we're number 11, I think, on the road. So we'll see how it goes.
We think there's been a lot of response on social media about this. We hope we live up to the hype, but bear with us because I'm brand new at this. I have a face for radio. I'm proving it right now as we speak. So bear with us, but we're going to have some fun.
So Parkland Podcast, we're going to focus on localism, primarily in St. Francis County in southeast Missouri. We'll talk also as well about maybe some things happening in Fredericktown, St. Genevieve, Potosi, Jefferson County, and we'll even talk a little bit about the Cardinals, I'm sure, coming up in just a little bit. But mostly the discussion is going to be about St. Francis County. Mark and I are longtime radio personalities in the area. I don't know about you, Mark. I felt like I was blessed to have that job when I did because of all the interesting people I got to meet. And I know you've got to do some kind of once-in-a-lifetime experiences that the job, if you were delivering packages for UPS, wouldn't come along for you. It was quite an honor, wasn't it?
The people I've got to meet, the people I've worked with, the things I've got to do, not just in news, but in sports and community involvement, has made this a job that's been perfect for me.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about your job. You are what they would call a rare bird heard in the media industry, a lot of people bounce around. They go from job to job. They start here, they go here, and then they move here. You got a job when you got out of the Navy, right? And you kept it until, what, a couple weeks ago?
I joined the Navy, got out of the Navy, went to the Broadcast Center in St. Louis.
Represent.
Yes, thank you.
What year did you graduate from BC?
82.
82? I was 00. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say, yeah, I was like 7 then or something.
Yeah. In 82, I was, So,
this podcast,
anyways, go ahead, Mark.
Is off to a great start. Anyway, I was going to be one of those guys.
Right.
I graduated, went to a job in Krakow, Missouri, which is in between Union and Washington. Worked there for about 6-7 months. And when I worked the night shift, I would always tune around because I wanted to hear Cardinal baseball. And I always tuned it into this station called J98, KTJJ. And wouldn't you know, about 6 months into my job, I got an opportunity to go apply for a job at J98, KTJJ. I said, I know that station because I listen to them while I'm getting paid by this other radio station. And I went down there for a job interview. Jack Sadler interviewed me, said, we'll get back to you. Called me the next day, said, we want to hire you. I said, okay, great. I'll come there. I'll work for about a year or two and then move on to a bigger market. And from there, a bigger market. And who knows what will happen from there. But 40 years later, I'm still in Farmington.
You're still in Farmington. And this is something that I wanted to ask you about because this was a story that's still resonating throughout the community, and that's Alpha Media, the company that owns J98, KREI, KJEF Radio, and Festus, making the decision to eliminate most, if not all, of their on-air staff in their radio stations in the state of Missouri. Kind of walk us through how that came down the pike and ultimately, I guess, led us to doing this podcast right now.
Well, the best way to describe how that came down the pike is suddenly.
Well,
I was at work one morning, and the boss came up and said, have you finished everything you need to do for today? And I said, yeah, pretty much. And he said, come on up, let's talk. And I said, is this a good talk or a bad talk? And he said, we'll talk. And we got up to his office, and he said, Alpha Media's made the decision to eliminate the broadcasting positions from all of its stations in Missouri. Before I go any further, I still love all my people I work with at J98 and KREI. They are wonderful people. They do a lot of good work there, and I hope you'll continue to support them. However, be that as it may, we were told that effective immediately, as announcers go, we are no longer a part of the organization, and that's pretty much how it happened.
yeah. So 40 plus years, I know that retirement was in the works. There was, kind of I don't know if you were going to have like a cutoff day, but it was coming. It was going to happen eventually. How would you have liked that to end? Like, what song would you have played? Who would you have had on the show? How would that have gone?
I really had no end date in mind. I was really liking what I was doing. I was working 20 hours a week, basically, and it was wonderful. About the time all the real work started, I was leaving, and I loved that part of it.
Oh, see you later.
Oh, yeah, we got to record how many commercials? Sorry, got to go now. No, just kidding. But anyway, as far as my end goes, I would have just liked to have said goodbye to everybody on the air. I would have liked to have said it's been a joy, thank my coworkers. Songs, I don't know. As I got into country music 40 years ago, I wasn't a huge fan of country music. Now, 40 years later, I love the stuff I really didn't like back then, the real twangy stuff. I love Willie, Merle, Waylon, guys like that, Earl Thomas Conley, Garth Brooks, all of those guys I love. I don't know what song would have been my farewell song, to be honest with you, but would have been nice to have time to think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the interviews that you got to do, I know you've talked to some really cool people. I first off, and as this podcast goes on and on, maybe there'll be like a little Mark Story Corner thing. But I want to ask, about the time you played golf with Charlie Daniels before his Country Days performance.
This was great. A gal named Allison. I was out and about, and Charlie was coming to Country Days that particular year, and I saw a girl named Allison, and she says, yeah, we helped him when he came to Columbia when I was at Mizzou. And she said, he loves golf, so bring up golf. It'll be a good icebreaker for your interview. So we did the interview. Charlie called into the radio station, and at the very end, as a throwaway line, I said, Charlie, when you're here, if you get here a little early, and if you'd like, let's go play a round of golf. I hear you're a good golfer. And he says, we can do that, partner. He called everybody partner.
Yeah.
And into the interview, played a Charlie Daniels song, and I picked up the phone to thank him for the interview, and he goes, were you serious about wanting to play golf? And I'm not the smartest guy in the world. But when a country music superstar asks you if you want to play golf, you don't say no. So I said, sure. And he goes, well, here's my manager's number. Call this number, find a golf course, and we'll go play. So got it all set up to play at Crown Point, Eagle Lake at the time.
Yeah.
His tour bus was over at Tradition Inn, Spokes Pub and Grill, and I went to pick him up. And I'll be honest with you, I was a little disappointed because when I knocked on the tour bus door and he opened it up, I was expecting, all the studs and all the big cowboy hat and everything.
Right, yeah.
He was wearing cutoff shorts and real long white socks and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of a letdown.
You wanted, with the fiddle,
I wanted to be on
everything.
stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Anyway, we get over to Eagle Lake, and a guy named Scott Seymour was there, and the general manager of the establishment at the time. We went out and played 18 holes of golf. He was great, wonderful to deal with. I know we got to one par 3, and Charlie hit one. It bounced around about 15 times and ended up in a little rock garden. And he turned around and looked at me and he said, Pada, I don't believe we're going to count that shot. I said, well, Charlie, you're the country music superstar, so if you don't want to count it, we're not going to count it.
Sounds fair.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
So we had a good time, and then he says, would you mind driving me through town? I'd like to take a look around at the small towns where I play. So we drove around for about an hour, and I showed him all through Country Days, and it was just generally a great day.
Wow. Very, very cool. So, yeah, we're going to pick your brain. We're going to have some of those stories as we roll along. This would be the part where we would have a commercial in this podcast. So if you're interested in advertising, we're two pretty marketable guys. Get in touch with me. Mark doesn't want to do the advertising. Did you ever do advertising when you're during your illustrious career?
No, because I know how I would be. I would go up to Jason's Bar and Grill and say, Jason, let's talk about advertising. And you would say, no. And I would say, okay, let's go hit some golf balls.
Right, yeah.
I'm not a good salesperson.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I tried it for a while at the Daily Journal, and I did not like it if I had like a small client who, I got $200 and that's all I got, and I'm going to put it and invest it in you because I like you. And then, for whatever reason, just people don't respond to the ad or whatever. I would feel so bad. And then I would go back and I would buy stuff from that place just because I felt so bad. There was a time where the wife and I literally had 3 vacuum cleaners because I felt so bad about these people. So yeah, if you own a business, call me. I'll buy all your stuff, and then you can advertise for just a small amount here on the Parkland podcast.
But we can always practice. Yes, we'd love to have your product on our podcast.
Right there. Very good.
Product placement.
Yeah, so let us know, and absolutely, we'd love to help you out and assist you there. I want to have a quick local news discussion. This is one of the things that, again, kind of lacking with the loss of part of our local media. And we talked about Alpha going with losing the on air. We still want to give a big thumbs up, encouragement to our friends at KFMO and B104 and at the Daily Journal, and even the Dawkins Broadcast Group as they're continuing to roll out the localism. And we appreciate that, and we wish those folks all the success in the world.
Local is what makes small market media work.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So some local news stories I wanted to talk about. The Blankenship's arrest. I don't know if you saw this. This was a release put out by the St. Francis County Sheriff's Department. They were actually, I believe, the ones to put this information out first, and that's that a sheriff deputy and his wife, who I believe was a former dispatcher in the county, both face multiple charges against him, and for some really horrible things. And you as a father, I had a discussion with somebody I know the other day, and they specifically asked, because they knew that this family lived a couple houses down from me. And they specifically asked, hey, did you talk to your daughter about this? And they were genuinely concerned because they had been a victim of sexual abuse in the past. So they, were wanting to, make sure that we had this discussion. And yes, absolutely. And fortunately, my kids never went in their house. I mean, they played together a little bit, kind of in the backyard area by the tennis courts. But otherwise, I thought the dude was weird. I thought he was kind of a strange guy, but my gosh, these allegations are horrible, and the charges that have been filed. And I know that's one of the bad parts of the job, is you have to read about and disseminate information about stuff like this. It's never fun.
I know that there's supposed to be some court proceedings coming up this coming week regarding that situation. And the one thing I would encourage people to do, it's real easy when something like this happens to lump the whole group in the same pile because of one person, or in this case, two people. The sheriff's department is made up of a lot of really high quality people, and let's remember, one bad apple doesn't spoil the whole bunch.
Absolutely. And I mean, too, you can vet people, you can get to know people, but sometimes people can surprise you with these things. I know I worked with a guy that ended up going to jail. I thought he was weird, but I didn't think he was like that. And I mean, I've known other people, same boat, and these things do happen.
We all have.
Yeah. It's crazy, but I wanted to get that out there. And parents, talk to your kids about those tough subjects. On a much, much happier and brighter note, let's talk about Farmington Country Days 2024. I was only there Friday night helping out with the Hornet's Nest at St. Joe's Catholic School right there, which is always a good time. But I heard you on the stage. You were in full voice battling the raindrops on Friday, and I'm sure you were kept pretty busy Saturday and Sunday too.
Friday, I was on stage introducing Route 67. Got to walk in the parade, which was a lot of fun. I've ridden in the parade before, never walked it. It was pretty cool. I was on stage and helping out most of the day Saturday, and helped out a little bit on Sunday and helped with the teardown. I really enjoyed Country Days. It was wet on Friday, and that put a little bit of a damper on things, but it did give me time to go over to the folks at St. Joe Catholic Church and get one of their kebabs. Yeah. Fine kebabs by whoever cooked those up. They were excellent. Got some fair food again on Saturday. I know that Bailey Joe's Barbecue, boy, they have some great pulled pork. Oops, is that product placement right there?
Hey, they can bring some pulled pork to the next podcast. That'd be awesome.
Oh, hold out for the ribs.
Just saying.
They were, okay. Jeremy, are you listening right now? The ribs, the pulled pork there, and all the fair food was really good. But it turned out to be a really nice weekend. We had some great crowds build up, and then on Saturday the weather was beautiful. They had a great praise band at Long Park, and it was the arts and crafts vendors were out in full force, and so were the people. Turned out to be a great weekend. Candy Hinty and Dina Ward and the whole Chamber of Commerce, that whole Country Days committee, great job putting together Country Days.
Now, I guess a few years ago, they kind of changed things. Everything was kind of focused in Long Park, and then a few years ago, they kind of started pushing things more into downtown. I think they brought in like the extra stages and things like that. And now that we're a couple of years into that, how has that gone? Have people adapted to that change?
I think so. The thing about bringing in a big time act like they used to have is it costs money.
Yeah.
And no matter how many sponsors, and this is just my opinion, no matter how many sponsors you sell, if you sell 10 sponsors at $1,000 a piece, it's $10,000. It's going to cost more to bring a well-known act in. So Country Days is operating at a deficit from the get-go by hiring these local bands. And these are some good bands that we brought in. You had good quality music, and you save yourself a lot of money, and you can start bringing other things in. I really enjoyed Country Days this year.
Fantastic. Any ideas, anything new that they're looking at adding next year, or is that conversation still yet to be had?
That conversation's still to be had. They're going to have a Country Days wrap-up meeting here at some point, and I am sure we will talk about what worked, what didn't work, and how we can make it better.
All right. So let's roll into birthdays and anniversaries. This was a huge segment for you back in your radio days. You were kind of the birthday king of St. Francis County.
Oh, I tell you what, since I no longer work there, that's one of the things I've heard the most of.
Yeah.
You mean you're not going to be able to wish me a happy birthday on the radio? I had a gal that told me she got Mandy Hubbard, good morning to you, or good afternoon, depending on when you're listening.
That's
She
right,
goes,
yes.
I would get in the car early just so I could hear my name on the radio.
Yeah.
And she'd been doing that for over a decade now. So, but yes, I do have a shortened list of birthdays.
Shortened list. And can I throw one out there real quick, because I'll get in trouble if I don't. Sunday, June 9th, Kayla and I's 17th wedding anniversary.
I guess the big question I always ask when I do anniversaries is, why does Kayla look so much younger than Jason? Well, the obvious answer is she is, for one thing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
But we can also go with good living, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just a few folks that I know that have birthdays coming up. Becky Owens has a birthday on Monday. She's married to Jeff Owens, if you know Jeff.
Yeah.
It's her birthday. Charlie Causey has a birthday on Tuesday. He was a longtime coach in the area. A lot of
And
people
referee,
remember,
too,
and
yeah.
referee. John Yao, if you remember, Mineral Area Office
I know
Supply.
the song by heart. Mineral Area Office Supply. There's another one. See, we've already sold like 2 advertisers just like
There
that.
you
Good job,
go,
Toad.
folks. Are you listening?
Yeah.
Debbie Thomas, Lutheran of the Year. Happy birthday to you. Brandon Warren. I think he works at Parkland Health Center. I know his wife does. And his dad is Steve Warren, who worked at the hospital for a whole bunch of years. And his stepmom is Ursula Warren, who runs the Farmington Senior Center. Lily Estes celebrates a birthday this week. And I got to know Lily. Her mom was just hired on by the Farmington Regional Chamber of Commerce. And I met her daughter, Lily, and she was one of those that was real excited about the whole radio experience. So she was also bummed that I wouldn't be able to wish her a happy birthday on the radio. But Lily, I'm wishing you a happy birthday on the podcast today.
Yeah.
She is a sweet, sweet young gal. Pastor Dean Berry celebrates a birthday. Sam Nicholson, who you might know, Chad, longtime teacher. Can I say Chad's name more than once?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
You can say,
Chad.
yeah.
Okay.
Third time, though, he appears, and that's not much. No, I'm just.
Like Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Sam, not only in addition to being a great teacher, makes the best salsa.
Really?
St. Francis County.
Okay.
Oh, it's fantastic. Cindy Sebastian has a birthday coming up on Thursday. Cindy helped organize a big fundraiser for cystic fibrosis. She's married to Matt Sebastian at First State Community Bank. And Kevin Brooks,
Kev.
engineer at J98 Radio, celebrates a birthday on Thursday.
He still has a job.
Yeah, he's still, well.
Sorry.
Dustin Wynick, who is big time in the Leadington area, has a birthday. And
is
Thursday,
he still the mayor of
I don't think
Leadington?
so.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I know his daughter won the talent show.
Yeah, she's very
a couple
good.
years at Country Days. And Thursday's my birthday.
Happy birthday, Mark.
Well, not yet, but on Thursday. Friday, got to say happy birthday to Ashlyn Roberts. Jeff Barnes, his wife is Jessica Barnes, a teacher over at the Central School District. And Candy Burns Waylock has a birthday today. And that's going old school because back in the 80s, she worked at the Farmington Press Leader, and she would sit next to me at the Farmington City Council meetings, and we became good buddies, and we still keep up on Facebook. She has a birthday on Friday. Saturday, everybody's buddy in the car business, Mark Easter.
Oh, boy.
With a birthday. One of your former coworkers has a birthday Saturday.
Who's that?
Greg Camp.
Greg Camp.
Greg Camp, I'm not sure. I'm going to push him down at 71 or 72.
Oh, he's well into his 70s. So old.
Pam Ross has a birthday. She's married to Doug Ross, the dentist in Farmington for a whole bunch of years. Lance Mayfield, I call him Viburnum's answer to Kevin Engler.
Oh,
he gets
absolutely.
involved in everything.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, our old buddy Kevin Gray celebrates a birthday. So those are just a few birthdays that we have going on.
I got some more, too. Monday, Daniel J. Cox of Mineral Area College celebrating a birthday. Former state representative Stephen Tilley with a birthday on Tuesday.
Interviewed him many a time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A fellow podcaster now, Chris Denman, with a birthday on Wednesday. Also the head coach of the North County Raiders, Mr. Brian Jones, with a birthday on Wednesday. And then, of course, you and Kevin later on in the week. Kelly Harris, alderwoman in the city of Deloge, celebrating a birthday. Happy birthday and happy retirement to my buddy Bruce Pratt, the electrical teacher at the Unitech Career Center, finally retiring, although I think they're bringing him back because they just can't stand it without him. But happy birthday, Bruce. Dan Chapman in Deloge celebrating a birthday today. On Friday, you mentioned Greg and Mark and Lance. So, yeah, lots of birthdays coming up.
But there's more reasons to celebrate than just birthdays or anniversaries.
What's that?
All right, here we go. We need to incorporate a drum roll on our podcast here.
Drum roll, please.
Monday is National Ballpoint Pen Day. It's also National Egg Roll Day. Tuesday, it's National Corn on the Cob Day and German Chocolate Cake Day. There's a day we can all sink our teeth into.
Yeah.
Wednesday, National Loving Day, and it's also National Jerky Day and Peanut Butter Cookie Day.
Okay.
Thursday, Sewing Machine Day and International Axe Throwing Day. Friday is Weed Your Garden Day, and it's also Flag Day.
Oh, that's right. Flag Day is Friday.
And we also want to celebrate on Saturday all our folks in the military, especially the United States Army, because the Army celebrates its birthday this coming Saturday.
Wow, fantastic. Very, very cool. Navy guy showing some Army some love.
Absolutely. We're all in this together.
Fantastic. Those are your birthdays and anniversaries here on the Parkland Podcast. So we want to pick things up now with the events portion of the Parkland Podcast. We're going to talk about all the events that are coming up. And we're basically kind of talking about things happening from June 10th on. A lot of things are kind of reoccurring, too, that we'll talk about. Feel free to mention anything you know about Mark, anything.
Not only that, if you are watching this podcast and you know of an event, contact Jason or myself, and we would love to talk about it on our podcast.
Absolutely. And same with birthdays, same with anniversaries, story ideas. If you got a segment in mind that you'd like to see us dive into, I know you've had some ideas brought to you. I've had some brought to me. But yeah, hit us up in the comments, and we'd be more than happy to look that information up for you.
Hey, I have to send a shout out before we go anywhere.
Yes.
To Heather, Jessica, Courtney, and Brianna. They're the girls that work at Subway in Farmington.
Okay.
I go there once a week to grab a sandwich, and they are the best people ever. Mike, you did a great job in hiring them. They could give lessons on great customer service. And that's not product placement. That's just me showing some love.
Let's see. We've already just naturally done about 6 commercials during this whole podcast, so we'll be collecting. I'll bill the Johnsons directly. So events coming up. I wanted to talk about movies in the park. This is something that's coming up on Friday the 14th. Deloge Park is going to show the movie Migration right by the pool. Free event and a free swim with that. June 15th. And I don't know much about this. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Mark, and I hope maybe you could help me out. Is it Plain Air?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the event happening at the Farmington Community Garden. It's like an all-day thing that goes from 7 to 3. What do you know about this event?
What I know is if you really want to find out more about this, product placement, you need to go to Earth Mother Health Foods.
Okay.
Because a young lady there named Melanie is kind of in charge of that community garden group, and she is there. And she will be glad to give you all the information you want on it. But it's pretty cool. I've been there a couple of times. Great artwork, and the community garden is a really neat thing.
And I think part of this event, too, they had like a poetry contest, and they had different age groups. So there's a lot going on with this event. And again, Plain Air happening at the Farmington Community Garden. That's right across from Wilson Rozier Park, right?
Yeah, it's right in that area. Look for the big water tower by
that's how
Boyce
they keep
Street.
it so well watered. With
There you go.
Water tower
It's well irrigated. Yes,
absolutely. Go ahead.
Since you're talking about the garden, we might as well mention the farmers market.
Yeah.
I know the one in Farmington is on the VFW parking lot. They're open Saturdays from 7 to noon, and they are almost ready to start bringing in those tomatoes and cucumbers, and there's going to be melons there before it's all said and done. I know Park Hills has a farmers market as well. But
the banks of the mighty Flat River Creek, baby.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But I want to send some love there.
Sure.
And a big shout out to the St. Francis County Health Center, because I know they work with the United Way of St. Francis County to hand out vouchers to senior citizens and folks in need, where they can go trade in the vouchers to buy the fresh fruits and veggies there too. So shout out to the United Way of St. Francis County and to the St. Francis County Health Center, and also to the farmers market.
Yeah, support your local farmers, no doubt about that. We have another movie in the park in Bonne Terre on June 21st. The Bros of Tucker Band will be performing that same night at Deloge Park. Also, there's a Canyon reunion show, and we need them to re-record the birthday intro.
Yeah, they were at Country Days in Farmington.
Yeah.
And, got to introduce them on stage. It was like introducing family, because between them and Route 67, we've been on stage a lot together. I've got a picture of me singing "Friends in Low Places" at my house with the guys from Canyon. Yeah, great people.
Elvira was always my go-to sing-along song with Canyon, and we're going to do it at Deloge Park coming up in August. Anyway, St. Francis County Fair is coming up. And the fair bringing in a pretty big act in Tracy Byrd.
I think that's going to be a heck of a show. I think I have seen Tracy Byrd in concert. He puts on a great show, and he's just a heck of a nice guy. And I believe you're going to be able to see an interview with Tracy with the Midwest Mixtape podcast as well.
Wow, look at this guy, the seamless cross-promotion happening right here on the pod. Man, you know what you're doing. You're at Mr. Beast level already.
I've got a little experience here.
St. Francis County Fair, always a good time, and that's the big event. But there's events happening Wednesday all the way through Saturday, right?
Oh, they have all kinds. The best part about the fair to me is going and watching the kids. This is a podcast, so I can't tell this story on the radio because it loses effect. But I was interviewing a young gal on the radio. Now, she's graduated out of college, but at the time she was like 9 or 10.
Right.
But she was telling me about her animal that she was preparing for the St. Francis County Fair, right? And I can't remember if it was a cow or a sheep or a pig at the time. And I said, tell us about your animal. And she goes, well, we named it such and such. And I said, well, how do you get it ready for the fair? And she's going to put it in the Sale of Champions, which is a part of the fair. And she goes, well, pretty much I get it up in the morning and I walk it and I feed it. I give it something to drink and I pretty much just love on it. And I said, well, what happens then after the Sale of Champions and it gets sold? And she looked at me and she went, I had a hard time continuing the interview because I was laughing. I was laughing about that, and her mom, if she's watching, she knows the story well because I told her mom that story. It was great. But they have Sale of Champions. They have all kinds of great things at the fair. The kids are the best part of that fair.
Absolutely. And the rides. And again, Tracy Bird. And check out that interview dropping next week. Park Hills Leadington Chamber of Commerce Firecracker Run. This is always a big event happening on the 29th.
Yeah, I've given up my days of 5K runs. I can walk a 5K.
Oh, yeah. With the best of them.
That's a good one. That one and the one in Deloge is always a good one in Christmas.
Oh, the Jingle Bell Run that Deloge Chamber puts on?
I hear there's a lot of hills in that one.
There are, yeah. Deloge is, contrary to popular belief, pretty hilly.
Yeah.
Pretty hilly town.
At my age, hills are no longer my friend.
Yeah. Also, a hot wing eating contest happening the same time as the Firecracker Run in downtown Park Hills. And downtown Park Hills has really taken off the last few years with the improvements that have been made and just all the remodels at all the buildings. And the Firecracker Run, all this event, this big event is really going to be a nice way to showcase what they got going on there.
I think Park Hills has got it going on for sure. Yeah, it's great going through downtown Park Hills.
I love it. And we'll have Four Towns coming up in a future podcast in some way, shape, or form on the Bar Network.
I went to a retirement party there just a couple of weeks ago. They had some music outside, and we were down in the basement area for the party, but I was really impressed.
Yeah, it's really cool. Speaking of retirement parties, and we're not going to give you too many details about this. I think it's VIP only, right? But you got one of those coming up, right? Yeah,
it's going to be coming up on Saturday, the 15th at 4 o'clock at Smokes Pub and Grill.
I was going to keep it secret. You just put it all out there, man.
I don't care. Everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome.
I'm going to bring the recording equipment, and I'm going to do a bunch of segments that night, just so you know.
I will say this. I am involved, speaking of the St. Francis County Fair, in a Pie in the Face event for charity.
Very good.
I am raising money for the Help the Hungry Bake Sale and the United Way of St. Francis County. And I have collection jars set up at several locations, including the Pasta House and the Farmington Senior Center.
Okay.
So what you do is when you go there, and at Spokes Pub and Grill, you drop $1 in the collection jar, and whoever raises the most money gets a pie in the face. I will have that jar at the retirement party.
Okay, that's a good idea.
So
yeah, we'll fill that up, and I want to get a bunch of interviews there too. Do you know who's coming to that? Have you looked at like the guest list, or Henty's in charge of this, right?
Yeah, so I tried to stay away from that because it sounds weird to invite people to a party that somebody else is throwing it for you. So whoever wants to show up, bring it on.
Okay, it's going to be a good time.
Yes.
It's going to be a good time. Never had a bad time at Smokes Pub and Grill. Mark Toady.
Rolling good times.
Yeah, rolling good times. There we go. I remember that theme song, too.
Trust me. Dick and Debbie Stang.
Yeah.
Special shout out to you, Steve, you and your wife, and, of course, Chris and Nina, the folks that are pretty much running that place now. You've done a great job since you took over, by the way.
Absolutely. So looking
Feels
forward
like
to
home.
that. At this point, we would like to get you over to the St. Francis County Commission building. I'm going to go change shirts real quick, and we're going to talk to the St. Francis County Clerk, Kevin Engler. But while we transition to that, I want to remind you that if you're watching this podcast, and you've watched quite a bit now, and you are looking to advertise your product, right now would be a great place for you to do that. I mean, we've already given away, like 7 or 8 free spots already. And there's always room for more.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, welcome back to the Parkland podcast. We are broadcasting now from inside the chambers of the St. Francis County Commission building, deep within the chambers. And we have brought with us as our very first guest to this podcast, Mr. Kevin Engler, the St. Francis County Clerk. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching.
Good morning, and I'm honored to be the first, and congratulations on the podcast. I think there's a great market for it, and a lot of people want to know what's happening in town, and I think you'll be able to fill that gap.
I think so too, Mark.
Yeah, and right now, what everybody's talking about is The August election.
It's going to be a huge election. I think the biggest primary that we've ever had, as far as turnout, because we've got a lot of statewide races that are going to be tough fought. I've never been around, and I've been around politics a long time, that we've had 5 statewide races with no incumbent.
Yeah.
That have. So you've got. I just did the ballot yesterday, and we previewed the ballot, and there was like 9 or 10 governor, 6 secretary of state, 7 treasurer. I mean, there's so many people, and then on a local level, of course, we've got 2 big races. We've got our state senate race, and we've got the sheriff's race that's going to be spending a lot of time and money. Besides the state rep. A new rep to take Mike Henderson's place. So there's going to be a lot of reasons to be out here in St. Francis County.
Before we get into the specifics, Kevin, I think you sell yourself short when you say you've been involved in politics for a long time. For folks that are semi-new to the area, they have no idea about all the different levels of politics. You worked your way up literally, starting as the president of the JCs way back when. Tell us about the whole process.
Well, I was at a farmer event that I was having to speak at not too long ago, and I said that I was a farmer. I'm a farmer state rep. I'm a farmer senator. I'm a farmer mayor. I'm a farmer councilman. I was farmer chamber president. I'm a farmer JC's president. I'm a farmer president of the council at the church. So I've got a lot of farmer information. So no, we got involved when I came here with Edward Jones, and Ted Jones told me one time, Mr. Edward Jones, that you need to give to the community, and they will give back. Don't wait, until to give back after they've given to you for years. So we got a little bit too involved, but we were here, and then within about 3 years, I was on the chamber board and the president, and then my wife and I, Chris, led the effort to get the Civic Center. When I got out of the president of the chamber, because I thought that was something, since we had a tax issue going off that year, and we were going to be able to extend it to build the Civic Center, and that was a hard fight. Now, people don't remember that, but it was a hard-fought battle. We only got 50-something% of the votes. We had 3 of the councilmen going door to door against it, and so that's why I got mad and said, you have no vision for the future, and I'm building a house out in Springbrook, and when whoever comes up, both councilmen were going against it, I'm going to run against you, and we're going to get on the council. And then after 1 year on the council, I saw how we were doing budgeting and things, and I wasn't excited about how we were doing. I didn't think we were looking to the future to try to make things happen, so I ran for mayor, and then ran again, won, and then got put on the ballot for state rep. And so, yeah, we've been in a lot of spots.
Can you imagine Farmington without the Civic Center now? What a big part of the community it's become.
I saw the other day where the water park, that's another one of my projects that my wife and I saw in Omaha before there was none in the state, and we went and looked at it and looked at and did the water park, but they're selling.
Yeah.
The
lifeguards are younger.
The skate park was selling 20th years a couple of years ago. It's just unbelievable that it's been that long.
Oh.
Jason, the sheriff's race is probably the biggest race that we've talked about. And Kevin, I don't know about you or you, Jason. I think you got to go back to the early 1990s before we saw this many candidates running for this office.
Right. You had Buckley, and then you had a primary in the Democrat primary, and then Jack Cade was in the. Yeah, there's nothing closer than the sheriff's race to the people, because you have so many deputies out there. You have so many people involved with county government. You have so much rural area that depends upon the county. You have the jail. You have so many different things. A lot of people are interested. A lot of people have opinions, whether it's going right or wrong. And so there will be a lot of, and you have 4 qualified candidates. It's not like the governor's race where you got 10 candidates, but there's only 3 of them that would be considered qualified to be the governor. The rest of them will get a few votes, 1%, a little less. But you could have a race that was won by 30% of the people. One in less than 3 could win it, because the other 2 or the other 3 could all get in the 20s, and it's going to be an interesting dynamic.
Do you think that race draws more attention because just the general person, I guess, understands what a sheriff does better than, say, an assessor or a clerk?
Yeah, if you tell somebody, that's good county clerk, what do you do? I don't know. We issue everything from liquor license to notary public. We run the elections. We do all the paper. People don't realize the different functions. Where a sheriff, I know what they do.
Right. We've seen the TV shows.
That's right. And some of them, that one that ran a while back, said that he saw he saw a lot of cop shows, and then he thought he could run it. We have somebody running for coroner that says she's going to take a course to do autopsies and between now and the election. So maybe she will. So anyway, it's but the sheriff's race, and like I said, when you have somebody that's the police chief for one pretty good sized department, and you have the current sheriff, and you have an officer on the force, you have a lot of people, and they have a lot of friends, and they've all got a pathway. They've all talked to me, and they've all got a pathway they think to get to that 30-something%. They may do. So it's going to be an exciting, and it starts in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from Tuesday, we start voting. That's what people, I had some statewide say, well, we're going to send out letters in July. And this. I said, people are going to vote early this time. Mm-hmm. Now, when you vote early, you've got to say, why am I voting early? Our number one reason is I may not be here on the day of the election, which is always a concern. So you can vote. Now, the last 10 days, the last 2 weeks, 10 business days, then we don't even ask you why you're voting early. But we think that there will be a significant, maybe as much as 20% of the vote or more that will vote on Weber Road location prior to the election. And I think it's safer. I think my party, the Republican Party, has been stupid, slow to get this. Oh, well, we don't want any of that absentee ballot. In-person absentee is about the safest way to do it. We have my full-time staff that are answering technical questions rather than somebody does this once a year that may be our president's age, that we try to train them as much as you can, but they do not know it as much as they do every day. Our workers every day, Valencia out there and Jackie, they know Emily, they know the rules, and so it's a very safe way to do it. And as a Republican, I tell people, this is stereotypical and it's not all inclusive, but a lot of the Republicans work outside the area. They're over-the-road truck drivers, they're construction guys that may be called, so they may not be able to get here. So why do you want to deny an opportunity when you're given 6 weeks saying, come in when you can? Another thing is our older voters, they like to take time. And, when you've got a line and there's people at every booth voting and things, you feel rushed. We let them take a sample ballot, go home, fill it out, bring it back in, use that as your guide to fill out your ballot. And it's, with COVID, it was cleaner. We clean every voter after every voter. It's just a good way to get out. We have handicap accessibility that you can just walk out. If you can't get out of your car, we'll come and do the curbside under the roof so that you don't have to worry about the weather. So there's a lot of advantages of voting early. And I tell the candidates, I say, you better get your voters in, because especially the new ones, we are registering right now, and you can register to vote until July 10th. The people that are new at this, who knows, when they pull up at the First Baptist Church and see a line outside, that they won't go, oh, well, I'm not going to wait in the line. I'll come back later. And they may come back. They may not come back. They may come back. The line may be longer. So you don't know that. Once you get the people voted, the vote's in the box. It's done. And I know I'm going to have my Democrats say, well, we work too. I get that. But it's statistically, our Republican Party have a lot of blue-collar workers that are out of the area working, and I just make it yourself available to come out. We start voting in 2 weeks from Tuesday, the 25th of June. Come out and vote. We'd love to see you. Which, another thing we need to talk about is poll workers. We have a difficult time. I need 15 more poll workers to be staffed. You have to have Democrat and Republican, because a lot of people do not want us to consolidate the polling locations. We still have to put 4 people out in Iron Mountain Lake. We have to put people in Libertyville. We have to put 4 people in Knob Lick. You cannot just put 2 people there. You have to have all those. And then when you have precincts like Bonterre that have 3 precincts that vote in one place, we have to have about 15 people working that. If we don't, we're going to have some serious backup. So a lot of people said they didn't want consolidation. Great. where are you now? Where are you volunteering to work? Because you didn't want it. So then you got to show me that we can get because the days are my when I was a kid. It was typically mom was home and dad was working. It's not that way anymore. And mom and her friends would get together, do their patriotic duty, and come work the polls. And they'd make meals. Some of the best meals were a poll worker meal. When they have everything in back and they've got a smorgasbord of stuff that you can eat and everything, and that's great. That's not the case anymore. All you got to do is go down here, Karsh, and drive down and look at how many people are looking for workers. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for a job, there's a job for you, and it's more difficult. Now, we've got some other, I should bring this up. I found out there are companies that will pay you for civil service, like jury duty and poll worker, and they'll pay you your whole wage, and then you can come make your $160 as a poll worker, too. I've got 2 or 3 of those. So if you work for a company that's generous in that regards and ask you to do your civic duty, and yes, we will pay you your right. Please come and help us work. It's a long day, but it's going to be busy this way. It's going to be good. Right. I mean, I hate seeing poll workers when I have to tell them, hey, bring a book, because you're going to be reading a lot, because we're going to have about 2 or 3 voters an hour in your precinct. Maybe if we're lucky that much. Now it's gonna. I think we'll have a 60-70% turnout, which is huge.
That was my next question. I hear maybe higher, 75 or 80.
Wow.
Maybe we don't get that on the presidential. So if we could outperform the presidential election, that would be something. I totally get that. I've told the statewide. I said, you better come to Farmington. Is the 10th biggest outstate county. Mm-hmm. But we're going to with the local elections, we are going to outperform the other counties, in my estimation. If we have 75, if you're right, or 80% of the votes, there's going to be a lot, and it's all Republican because there's only like 2 people on the Democratic local primary. I'm not saying it's bad. It used to be the same thing. I always voted in the Democratic primary because there was nothing to vote on in the Republican.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Why would you? You might vote. I might have voted against some people, right? Intentionally. That was rather than voting for. But I think for a political hack. Right. To not pick up a Republican ballot this time is going to be hard, because you're going to say, hey, I'm going to affect the governor's race, the lieutenant governor's race, the attorney general's race. I'm going to affect the secretary of state's race. I'm going to the treasurer's race. I'm going to be able to decide who our next sheriff's race, the sheriff is, because a lot of people are not opposed in the fall. There's only one local that I know of. One local that's the southern commissioner's race, and we'll have a race in the fall. The rest of them, for the most part, will not have a race. So if you're not getting out in the primary and voting, you've just lost your ability to affect the election.
So early voting takes place starting June 25th.
It's coming up 2 weeks from Tuesday.
And it's at the Weber Road location. That's across the road from the old Mineral Area Hospital.
I tell everybody that it's Catty Carners. We're the old doctors. But I used to tell them, now it's been gone long enough. I say, you know where Catfish Kettle is? I've never had somebody say no.
No.
Okay, Catfish Kettle, you go right by it and hit the stop sign and make a left, and you're 1/2 mile down on your left. That's where we're at. And everybody says, oh, okay, I know where that is. Whereas mineral, no, I don't know where the mineral. Isn't that something? We're all old people. Remember that?
I was born there.
But Catfish Kettle, I had a colonoscopy there. It's very similar. Experiences.
I just had one more
different
question.
direction, but
go ahead.
Other than your colonoscopy, so much going on. Joe Biden's son, Donald Trump's trial. How is that going to affect voter turnout and all the animosity we've had over recent years involving that presidential office? How is all this going to be impacted by that?
Well, I think the trial has solidified the former president's base, but I don't know how it has affected the people that swing voter. And there's only 6 states really that matter.
Right.
So the swing voter in suburban Milwaukee, Detroit, Phoenix, those areas that Wisconsin, Michigan, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, the swing voters there, that's what you're going to have to look at. Now, as a Republican, I would say that I hope people are so tired of it they don't vote. Because if they don't, if Biden has bad minority turnout, whether it be Hispanic or African American, he loses. If they can motivate the people and get them to the, they used the vice president to motivate to get them there last time. There's not so many people, minorities, that are excited about the current vice president now to be motivated to go out and vote for the ticket because of her. And in all likelihood, she will be the president because, we've all went through it with our parents and our grandparents or whatever. Biden's to the age that he may not make it 4.5 more years. He's well above the average life expectancy. This just statistically. Right. So there's a really good probability that if elected, that she would be the president. So there's going to be a lot of people voting on that regard. There's going to be a lot of people voting on maybe looking at the vice president candidate for Trump.
Right.
So you see how that
younger, right?
Yeah,
he would have been a freshman when Joe would have been a senior in high school. I mean, they're that
right.
Close
they're close together, so they're going to look at what do you do, vice president there now. Mm-hmm. Some of the best candidates are white guys. Do you put a two white guy ticket? Old white guy ticket. With the governor of North Dakota, sharp. I think he will. If he's not the vice president, he'll be the head of the Department of Energy because his state is doing it all. You talking about drill and they're fracking. They're doing they're doing 6 or 7 different kinds of energy up there, and it's incredible the things they're doing. By putting him in the ticket, so you pick up North Dakota. You're going to pick up North Dakota anyway. Right. There's nobody on the short list that I would say is a game changer as far as the states that you will bring because of them being selected. There's nobody on the short list from Arizona. There's nobody from Nevada. There's nobody on the short list from Wisconsin. There's nobody on the short list from Pennsylvania. So you put somebody, a representative, Stefanik from New York. You're not going to win New York. Right. If you win New York, it's over anyway. Yeah. It's like Reagan winning 49 states. If you've won some of those big Democrat states, you're not going to. It doesn't matter. The sad part of that is we won't see presidential appearances here at all, probably, because the state's probably locked up. Yeah. And that's why I think it makes it very difficult. That's why most of the statewide will be elected in August, because it will be difficult. Crystal Quaid, who's maybe one of the Democrats' governor, nice gal. I was in the house with her, nice gal. She's 30-something years old. If Trump wins by 15, 20 points, it will be very difficult. Yeah. For any of the statewide the people don't go down the ballot and say, okay, I'm going to vote for Trump by more than 20%, and then suddenly switch over to the other side of that. Now some do, but most don't. Not by that much. Now, if he wins by 2%, you say, yeah, those are all in play. It's very difficult. That's why this August election is huge, because you're probably deciding who the governor and those other statewides are. Plus, you're deciding who the sheriff is, the state rep in the northern part of the county, the state senate. Elaine Gannon's replacement. We're deciding that. So we've got a lot of issues that you need to come out and voice your opinion on.
And again, the deadline to register to vote is July
10th.
Okay.
10th. And then you register just out of Weber Road, our elections. We still have people. We moved out there 5 years ago. We still have people coming in wanting to change their address and stuff here. We don't have any of the election things here. It's a couple reasons, but security is the main thing. We have to keep everything out there very, very secured. All the IT stuff, and there's no reason to have it in two places and then have to worry about keeping the security at both places.
Before we wrap up, kudos to your staff. They were a big help to me for years and years and years doing election coverage while on the radio. They are awesome to work with.
They do, thank you. They do a really good job. People know I don't know much about this job. I just show up. I am here, but am I going to go up to Teresa's out there today? We have payroll today. She's been doing payroll for 29 years. Do you think I'm going to go up and say, Teresa, I've really been watching you, and I think that, I know you haven't made a mistake in about 10 years, but I think we ought to change this all up. No, it ain't going to happen. I just say, hey, we getting paid today? Yeah. Okay, great.
It's all good.
I'm good. That's the big view.
Where can people find your website, answer any questions they might have about early voting, poll working, things like that?
Right. You got the elections website, which is St. Francis County Elections. You've got the county. We try to link things here to our SFC website. And the main thing, if you got a question, pick up the phone. We'll answer your question. There are very few things that we can't answer instantly. I'm a dinosaur. I know what I went in a few minutes ago before this and answered my emails that I already had this morning. But usually there's a follow-up, and then there's another follow-up. If you have a technical question on your election, call us, and you can call us here at the county, so you can look up the county. We have an elections direct site, but all you got to do is call the county and press 2 for elections, and they will answer your question 9 times out of 10 immediately. It's a really, really, really strange question that we can't automatically answer.
Gotcha. And can we come back on election night and get some numbers and put them on the podcast?
Yeah, and I'd encourage you to try to talk to as many of the local candidates and statewide.
Yeah.
I know you guys are just kicking this off, but you might crank it up in the summer and then slow down in the fall and the spring. But there's a lot of things that people are really interested in the Parkland, and I think it's a shame that the local stations, I'll say them, KTJJ and KREI.
You can speak as freely about them as you like.
I think it's BS because nobody wants to. If
I
want to
agree.
listen, if I want to listen to Cirrus, I'll listen to Cirrus.
Yeah, exactly.
I hit it off to go to KTJJ to catch the news. I know when the news time is. Or KREI, I want to catch the local news. You've still got KFMO. I'm not trying to, but to take those two, the voice of the Parkland and KTJJ, which is the most powerful. When I ran for Senate in 7 counties, I did a lot of advertising on KTJ because it was the most powerful radio station in the 7 counties in this area by far. Mm-hmm. And now we've lost that. If you want to listen to elevator music, you have that choice. But anyway, I think you guys got a great pathway here. If you will just listen to the people to see what they want to hear about, whether it be economic development in our area or. Next year, we'll have a mayoral election in Farmington. People will want to hear about that. There's a lot of political, but non-political, just things that people want to know about. We just had Country Days. People want to know what's changed when the parade is just a general idea of you don't have to do as much coverage as you used to, Mark, on KREI, but you still, people say, well, where can we find out, the general take of who's playing where and what's going to be happening, what's the themes and that. So there's a lot of opportunity for you. So good luck.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right. St. Francis County Clerk Kevin Engler joining us on the Parkland podcast.
We're going to talk sports, though, too, aren't we?
Yeah, let's talk some sports as well. And we'll begin with the St. Louis Cardinals.
All right, that's enough about that.
Hey, they've been better lately. They made it to the 500 mark.
For about an hour.
Yeah, and things have kind of fallen off a bit there.
I have an interesting take on the Cardinals.
Okay, I would love to hear it.
If you follow social media, of course, we got to fire the manager. That's what everybody's saying.
Yeah.
I'm not totally convinced. I'm not saying that Marmol is the answer long term, but he can only play with the cards. No pun, and maybe a little pun intended. He can only play with the cards that are dealt him. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe the problem with the Cardinals could go up higher than just the manager.
Yes.
It's the people we sign, the people we don't sign.
Yes.
The people that are getting paid a lot of money and are underperforming. There's a whole lot of blame to go around. And I'm not saying Marmol's perfect, but he's definitely not the only problem there.
Oh, I agree 100%. And I think really the part that I believe is the most lacking is the development side of things and just the day-to-day side of things at the major league level. And because we see these players come through single A, double A, triple A, and they're adapting, for the most part, they're adapting to each level and doing well. And then all of a sudden you get to the big leagues and Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn last year. Thank God he's been awesome this year. But and we've seen that a lot. I mean, Tink Hintz is supposed to have been, a member of the starting rotation by now. And I guess he's not ready to take that fifth spot. I don't know. That's where I believe the problem is that high level AAA major league coaching staff. Something's got to change there.
What's the kid's name that has like 18 letters in his name that we?
Mark Sepchinski?
No, the guy we traded got from Florida when we traded Rosarina.
Oh, Matthew Libator.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's another
Rosarina.
kid. He was supposed to be like a number one or a number two guy.
And he worked out into a number one or number two guy. You know why the Cardinals got rid of him? If you remember, Mike Schilt was the manager, and I think the Cardinals had just beaten the Braves in one of those like quick series before the wild card was a wild card. And Randy Arozarena got on Instagram, and he filmed Mike Schilt giving this like gigantic profanity filled, you're the best, bye, beep, beep, beep. And Rosarena like sent that out to Instagram live, and that caught on, and it was kind of a trend. And Schilt got some brushback from it. You're, why do you talk like that? Blah, 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 blah.
What a shocker. A pro athlete cusses. Oh.
I know. And I'm sure that Schilt went right to Cardinal management and said, I don't care how good this Arozarena guy is. He embarrassed me. He broke my locker room trust. Get him out of here right now. And I think that's why the Cardinals gave up on him. I don't think it was talent at all.
I'm one of those guys that leans towards we shouldn't have gotten rid of Schilt.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But, he's a TRL guy, Tony La Russa guy, and that's, we could do a whole podcast on just that, in my opinion.
Hey, on a more local level.
Yes, please.
Isn't there a lot of local baseball going on?
Oh, yeah.
Next month and a half, too.
Yeah, softball, too.
And softball as well.
Yeah.
Summer football camps will be starting in July.
That's interesting because I was thinking this morning about, how are the local football teams going to be this year? We had the Central Rebels coming off state championship. I mean, just unbelievable. Everything.
By the way, Corey Schweiss, one of the best guys you'll ever want to meet. I can't think of a guy more deserving of a state title.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad he got it. Him and PJ and Coach A-Hole, and I mean the whole staff. Those guys are fantastic. They're going to come back down to earth a bit. I mean, you graduate as many kids as they graduated, and not just the skill guys. I mean, you lose your quarterback, you lose your receivers, you lose your main running back who played quarterback for you for a while, and you lose linemen too. There's a couple of linemen on that squad that graduated, and so there's going to be a lot of changeover with Central this year in football.
By the way, a shout out also going out to Judd Nagger.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. He'll be one of the youngest coaches in the Hall of Fame, I bet.
Yeah. And
his resume is better than most of them that are already there.
Yeah, you can't argue with the track record.
Yeah. Coach Nagger and I think he started at Valley when I started at J98.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
I remember him as a player.
Yeah.
Of course, I also remember Mark Krause, who's now retired.
Right.
I remember interviewing him at a Dream Team banquet when he was 17.
Right.
And now he's retired, and I'm still looking for work. Boy, did I go in the wrong career.
So, yeah, maybe in the future we'll talk a little high school sports and kind of preview the high school football team. And I mentioned that I was going to talk about Lucy's softball team.
Yes.
The Ducks, we took it on the chin Thursday night, lost to St. Genevieve 14-2. But Lucy finally got her first hit of the year, so she broke that. I told Coach Wilford we were going to have to go slump busting if she couldn't figure out a way to.
She's the athlete of the family?
Her and the dog, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Rachel's the most athletic, our dog, but then Lucy's a very close second.
Go Lucy.
Yeah, very, very good. Anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to give a shout out to before we wrap this guy up?
I want to thank you for letting me be a part of this.
You're welcome.
And Chad as well. Awesome. It's awesome. I enjoy doing it. This was a lot of fun. I hope we get to do it a lot.
I'm glad I could talk you into it. That was something I was thinking about in my mind as I was kind of, mulling over, when I'm going to do this. Like, well, I want to do it with Tote. He's the guy I'd want to do this with. And I was like, man, I don't know if I can talk him into it, man. He's probably liking retirement and all the stuff he gets to do. But I'm glad I'm glad you agreed to do this, man.
Yeah, let's keep it rolling.
All right. Parkland Podcast, thank you very much. And maybe Mondays, we're looking at Mondays as our day to drop. So we'll see you next Monday. Have a great day.